why you should never give up on life. There's really just one main reason for this. And you're thinking, only one reason? Wow. But the main reason you shouldn't give up is because what you're feeling right now, if you've come across this video, typing in anything related to that subject title, what you're feeling now, it's not going to last. You're going to feel very differently. You know, nothing lasts forever, even the cold November rain. Trust in Guns N' Roses. What you're feeling when you're feeling really, really just beaten and broken down by life and depressed, and then you start, asking yourself, is it all worth it? And all of this. There's so many questions and doubts. But always remember, what you are feeling isn't going to last. So try to really absorb what that means. Even though you feel really terrible, you feel really shitty, you feel empty, you feel hopeless, you feel like you've done everything you could think of, you feel like you've put in so much effort, you feel like just there is no hope, that you can't see or feel or fathom a way out because maybe you've been through it so many times already, you feel exhausted, like you don't want to go through it again. But just remember that you're not going to feel like this forever. And the way you feel right now, it's going to change. You might feel really terrible now, but it is going to change. Life is, I don't know, like anyone out there who's having an easy life. I mean, maybe I'm in a bubble, but I have known many people throughout my life, and everyone has something going on in their life, something major. Everyone has something major going on in their life. Whether it's something to do with their health or their money, their job, their family, their, whatever, school, or your parents, or your children, or, we all have something. But, that's what life is. Life isn't supposed to be easy. We're here to just take as much of this as we can and to keep moving forward, right? Like that really awesome Rocky quote, Sylvester Stallone's quote, winning is about how much. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, right? And I can definitely attest to that from my experience with fighting and martial arts. There's been times in fights where I was about to tap out. I remember one particular moment where I was being strangled by someone who was, higher level than myself. At the time, I think I was a brown belt or a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and I'd been training MMA for about 8 years, and someone, professional fighter, was on my back and was strangling me. And I was holding as long as I could go. And then I just decided that, I can't hold on and I'm going to tap. But then in that moment, some thought came into my head out of nowhere, and it just told me, just wait another 2 seconds. And you know what? If you go out of consciousness, you go out. Just go for it. At this point, I had never been choked out in my life. So I thought, how can I be a black belt without ever saying that I've been choked out? You have to go through those, right? So I thought, let me give it another 3 seconds. I waited 1 second, 2 seconds, and then the guy's arms got tired and he let go of the choke. Now, I was in shock a little bit. I thought, wow, I started questioning reality and like, is this all a dream? Like, am I controlling all, like what? I just started, some of you guys know me, I can get pretty deep. And then I thought, wow, no, it's just, maybe he could feel that I was about to choke, and then he could feel that I decided to not tap out, and he was already tired. See, that's the thing. There's sometimes we could be 3 feet away from gold after digging for gold for weeks. This is from a book, by the way, if anyone knows it. We can be like 3 feet away from gold and not realize it. And then, quit too early. So, I mean, I'm firing a lot of like cheesy ass quotes here. Another one is like, the night is always darkest before the dawn, right? That's another one. Good one. Cheesy one. That one's from Batman. But that's true. It's true. Like I said, I can attest to this through my own life experiences, especially in fighting. That's one good thing about fighting, which I will say, is that fighting kind of condenses all the turmoils that you experience in life into like a very short, intense period. In a fight, you're gonna experience successes, glory, failure, hopelessness, doubt, confidence, like so many things you're gonna experience in the space of let's say a 5-minute round or fight. So this is one huge advantage about getting into, let's say, I don't know, martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or kickboxing or anything, is it kind of helps show you things. So, not to go off topic too much, but I would say that if you feel really shitty right now and you've come across this video, I want to guarantee one thing to you, that you're not going to feel that way forever. And the way you feel is going to change. And when the way you feel changes, I guarantee you you're going to feel differently. You're going to think differently. So give yourself that, opportunity. And I also wanted to mention that, I have a family member who he is older than me. I think he's 60 right now, but he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is a disease that's quite terrible. It's debilitating, and he was diagnosed at the age of 20, and since he was diagnosed, like, he's just lost functions in his body, like his arms. Over time it just has gotten worse, and now he's at the point where he's barely able to speak. He can't move his entire body, and he needs to be helped to do everything, even eating. And I once asked him something. I can't remember what it was, but I remember we were talking about life, and then he just mentioned that he said, I'm just here to see what's going to happen next. And by the way, he's a very positive person. Like, he's always laughing, joyful, even though he's going through a really terrible difficult time in his life. But I that really stood out for me, because I felt like, that's an interesting way to look at it. Life is interesting. Every day is something new. And you don't know what's going to happen every day. All you have to do is look at the news to just agree with that statement, that every week it's just something completely new. Even every day it's something new. So I can tell you, the more things that you do differently in your life, the more things that you change, the more possibilities you have for different things to occur in your life, right? If you keep if you keep on like doing the exact same things all the time, then, you know, tomorrow is definitely still going to be different. Every new moment is different. There's never a repeated moment in our life. Every moment is completely brand new. You never experience the same thing twice, even though you might think, oh, I've been to this park a million times, or I've sat on this chair a million times, but it's never identically the same. It's always a new moment. Hold on. Excuse me. So I'm going to have to track that down and see where that hit. Might be on my walls. Sorry to be gross. But so the more things that you can like adjust and change, you know, that's another thing in martial arts we learn, is that, you know, if something's not working, try something different, right? So if you're down and you know, if you're down and you feel broken and you feel hopeless and you just feel like everything is stacking up against you and you feel like it's you against the whole world, I want you to know this, and I'm talking directly to you, whoever it may be on the other end of this, that you're not alone. Even though you feel like you're alone, you're not alone, because guess what? There's millions of us who feel the same way. I'm definitely there alongside with you. And I think if more people out there were honest, they would also admit that they are also going through it. Even like celebrities or people who are successful, you know, successful, wealthy, rich people, they actually go through it more so because you know, the more stimulating, exciting, fun things you do in your life, you get used to those things and they become normal and boring. Believe it or not, anything. Even if you eat sushi every single day and you're chilling by a pool and you've got like extravagant life, if you do that every single day, even that will become normal and boring to you. And then guess what? You've got fewer things that you can add to your life to make you happier, right? Because you've done everything. I learned this early in my life because I grew up in Kuwait. You know, Kuwait is in the Middle East. That's where I grew up. And Kuwaitis are some of the richest people on planet Earth. And I had friends who were Kuwaitis, and I never in my life, you know, God bless Kuwait. I love Kuwait. I consider myself Kuwaiti. I spent the first 10 years of my life growing up in Kuwait. So I love it. But anyone who lived in Kuwait or knows Kuwaitis, or, you know, you'll know that, you know, they are born into wealth. So, you know, just to be born Kuwaiti, back when I used to live there, you would get 1,000,000 dinars, Kuwaiti dinars. 1,000,000 Kuwaiti dinars at that time was worth about $4. So that's $4 million. I don't know how much it's worth now, but maybe even more. But you were born with $4 million just to be born as a Kuwaiti. And you would think, right, that, wow, that's going to ensure your happiness. But let me tell you, the most depressed people that I ever met in my life were Kuwaiti people, because Kuwaiti, young Kuwaitis, because they were born into wealth. They were getting everything that they wanted from an early age. The best remote control cars, the best toys, the best, you name it, horses, the best cars. By the time they were like 15, 16, the best cars, I'm talking about Ferraris, Lotuses, anything they wanted. So basically to them, it was all just available, right? Yet so depressed and full of just all the stuff that we all go through as humans. I've had sessions with Kuwaitis as well who've, like, you know, I used to have a client who, you know, and I had many sessions with this person, and I learned a lot from that person. He was Kuwaiti, and yeah, it's just there's that other cheesy saying that, money doesn't buy happiness. 100% true. So the point I'm trying to make is that you're not alone. You're not alone, okay? We're all going through this, all of us. Even like Tom Cruise, who I saw him on Instagram earlier today, and he was hanging out with Brad Pitt and a bunch of other people going to the movies. And the post he made was me and a few friends at the movies. And I was just like, man, imagine if you were Tom Cruise going to the movies with your friends, Brad Pitt and all these. That's got to be amazing, right? I thought. And then I thought, wow, would I wish to be Tom Cruise? Like, would I want to have his life? And then I thought, probably not, because, like to be that successful, to be making that much money, like, first of all, don't forget, it's a lot of work, hard work. This guy is probably working nonstop around the clock. So I don't think just anyone could even walk in his shoes for a few hours. He's like so, busy and working so much. And then you think, they're all chilling by the pool, and no, they're working. Actually, work is something that I would say is a really important topic that's linked to this, feeling down. And a lot of these celebs and rich people, a lot of the smart ones, they've found that out. They've discovered that, oh, okay, you know what, money isn't going to make us happy. And actually, what makes us happy is working, working. I don't mean that that's going to make you happy, but I'm saying that that's one of the things, like being active and productive and getting out there and doing something, It doesn't have to be anything that special, don't worry. But, we got to work, right? We got to do something. Our families are important. Spending time with our families, spending time out in nature is important. Prayer, I think, is very important, like connecting with your, you can call it God, or, you can, just connecting with what's going on. What is this? This is existence, right? Existence. So, like, what is it? Like, do you have to pray to a man on a white chair with a big white beard and say thank you to that man up in the clouds? No, you can just say thank you without it being directed at any particular thing. You can just be grateful, right? You can just say, you can experience existence and be like, wow, I'm glad that I exist. I'm grateful that I exist. And you can take it a step further and say, I'm grateful that I'm experiencing all this fucking pain in my life, or I'm grateful that I'm experiencing all this turmoil, or all this hopelessness, and all this, depression and anxiety. And guess what? You're gonna discover what self-love is by embracing and loving even the worst things in life. The worst, what we think are the worst, but perhaps someday when we transition to another state, there's going to be a whole crowd of people, perhaps, and they're going to be like, you thought all those hardest things were the worst part of life, but they were the best part of life. Those were the moments where you were being tested, and, those are the moments. That's the point of life. And then I want you to also think about like where we've been as a human species. That just 70 years ago, women had no rights here in America. That if you looked a certain way in this world, had a certain skin tone, color, you're going to be considered not a human being. This is just 50 years ago, 70 years ago, and I'm sad to say even today, right? So, but think about where we were 100 years ago. It was even worse. We were all having diseases left, right, and center. We were, there was, it was terrible. There was raping, murdering, terrible fashion senses. But the point I'm trying to make is that we're very blessed. And remember what I said about the Kuwaitis. God bless the Kuwaitis, amazing people. But the children of the hardworking Kuwaitis before they became wealthy. Kuwaitis are amazing people. I can do an entire video about Kuwait and Kuwaitis. Did you know that Kuwaiti people, Kuwaiti women are very strong in Kuwaiti culture and society from hundreds of years ago, from a long time? Because the men would be, before they discovered oil in Kuwait, before Kuwait became rich, Kuwaitis were fishermen, and the men would dive under the ocean, bare eyes, to find pearls, and a lot of their eyes would become cloudy, and they were fishermen. They used to sail from Kuwait all the way, they would just go and get lost. They were sailors. They would stay on the coast, and they would just go from town to town, and they would go all the way to India and back. And that's why there's so many spices, in Kuwait and Egypt and all over the Middle East. There's spices from India and vice versa. But I always thought it was such a cool thing. People talk about the feminist movement and equal rights. But, in Kuwait, for hundreds of years, women were taking care of the money, because the men would go off fishing and bring back the money, and they'd leave it with their wives and their mothers and their sisters. And the women who would stay at home in Kuwait, they were responsible for all the finances. So over generations and generations, women were more mathematical and more smart when it came to saving and investing. And in fact, my own parents, when I was born in the States, I was born in Texas, but when we moved to Kuwait when I was very young, my father, who was involved with banking, his first boss was Kuwaiti woman. And the banks in Kuwait, the stock exchange was run by women as well. So anyway, that's a fun little side fact. But I'm sorry if I rambled on there a little bit. I do tend to do that with this channel. But yeah, I just want to say, hang in there, okay? Give yourself a chance, and just know that you're not going to feel the same way forever. And we're here to, I don't want to be negative or anything, but eating shit is a big part of being alive, okay? And just remember what Rocky said. Winning isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep going. So my prayer to you, my wish to anyone out there watching this, is that you keep going no matter what. You just keep going forward, and don't worry too much. Connect with God, or nature, whatever you want to call it, but connect. Be grateful and say thank you. I'm so thankful for everything. Thank you for my shorts, my knees. Ask yourself right now, are you sick? Do you have the flu? And then say, if you don't, then be grateful for that. Because don't we all know how horrible it feels to be sick? We do, right? So if you're not sick right now, be grateful for that and say, thank God I'm not sick right now. A lot of people are sick. And I used to have a client who, I had a lot of sessions with him, and he once asked me, what are the most important things in life? And I think at the time I told him that, income is very important, because, the way that I was thinking about it at the time was that your income will help with your health, will help with everything. If you have a lot of money, you can go and at the time I was kind of guiding him in a custom tailored way, and I felt like that was a good way to communicate with him. He would understand it. But really, our health is the most important thing of all, our health. And it's not only our physical health, but it's our mental health, our emotional health. So don't worry too much about things, is what I would say. And I'm probably saying this as a mirror to come back to myself, which is a big reason for why I make these videos. And don't worry too much about things, because in the end, this is some crazy experience we're all having. Some people are finding comfort in creating like a 9 to 5 schedule and rules about, it makes them all feel a little bit better, and it makes us all kind of get along better, right? It turns this crazy world of millions of people into like a functioning, society, and that's important. And in order to function in this society with all the rules and all the crazy rules, right, we have to do certain things, right? You got to go to school, go get a degree, then get a job, and then get married and have kids, and then, all of that. You don't have to follow those rules, but yeah. So anyway, I hope there's something in here that makes a little bit of sense and might even hopefully help a little bit. Just don't give up. That's the key. And I shall make more of these videos. I've been making more videos on my members only channel, mostly because I'm not really like a big, wannabe putting my face out on YouTube all the time. I am doing it, keeping it, keeping this going, but especially as I'm getting older, I mean, look at this. Who wants to see this kind of stuff, right? Or where is it? This, look at this, right? Maybe 10 years ago when I started making the videos, I was like, oh yeah, let's go. But look at that. Like, no, we don't want to see too much of that. I'm just kidding. So yeah, I hope that something in here helps, and good luck, and keep going. Just keep going. All right. One step at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time. Do your best. Breathe in. Try to pray, try to meditate. If you're not religious, meditate. Instead, it's the same thing. Meditation is just, oh, I'm so grateful. I'm alive. I'm here. What is this craziness that's happening? And just try to change a few things. If you feel like you're still going the same thing, God bless Anthony Bourdain, poor guy. I have no idea what was going through his head or his life or what was going on, but I feel like maybe, just maybe, he felt like he had been there so many times in that same place, and he found himself in that same place yet again, and he probably thought that he just can't keep, coming back to that same place again. But he was absolutely 100%, I don't want to say wrong, because that's kind of rude, right? But I just want to let you know that just keep going. It's always going to be different. You're always going to feel differently. And clearly he felt differently at one point in his life that drove him to start doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at age 60. And he was winning in tournaments at age 63. And guess what? He was still inspiring a lot of people, making a lot of videos, and doing pretty damn good. But I said it earlier, like a lot of people, especially these rich people, we don't realize it. We think that they're so happy. A lot of those people, they're the most miserable because they've done everything. There's nothing else they can do. He's Anthony Bourdain, let's say, for example, take him. He's drank every amazing drink there is to drink. He's eaten every amazing food that you can imagine. His tongue and mouth have experienced probably the most amazing things ever. So what's left for him? But a lot of these people, they don't realize it. They've never been taught somehow, even someone like Anthony Bourdain, who's so travels around the world and has met some people, somehow wasn't taught that it's not about more and more and more and more to make you feel good, but it's actually the other way, right? That remember on my videos, some of you might remember where I talk about, if you, rather than having a delicious sweet cold drink to make you feel better, because water is boring, why don't you go and have a workout instead? Play go run around, or join a pickup soccer football game or whatever it is, or do some jiu-jitsu, and you're so exhausted, and then you have some water, and it's the best thing in the world, right? That's a sign. Nature is giving us signs. It's telling you how to make normal things in life more amazing. Is you've got to like do some hardship, right? You do some hard work. Do something difficult. It doesn't have to be work, but it can be like listening maybe to someone. They're all forms of work, right? I'm just using the word work loosely, but you know what I mean. Do something hard, and then the normal stuff becomes amazing. Rather than doing nothing and then just adding more. Oh, I'm going to smoke some weed. That will make me better. Or I'm going to drink now. That will make me feel even better. Or let me have some delicious pizza. That's going to make me even feel better. Or let me just keep more and more and more. Okay, I want sex and drinks and food and, entertainment. And I need more entertainment, right? That's not the way to go, right? So the actual opposite way, surprisingly, will make just normal life amazing for you. And that's why, Buddhists or people who meditate, that's why a lot of them, they're in so much peace and happiness and bliss, you can say, and nirvana. You can get to the point of bliss just by walking around. Why? Because what they're doing is one of the most difficult things, which is sitting in a place, depriving themselves of much entertainment, and just focusing on their breathing. Not even checking their phone, right? Our phone, that's like a big source of entertainment. They just disconnect from all those things and they just focus on their breathing. It's a method of, what is it? Depriving yourself, deprivation in order to make life so fucking amazing. Even just walking around. So we don't have to become Buddhist monks, but we can use some of their wisdom and knowledge, right, to help bring us back out of pain and suffering, and right? So I hope it's going to help out a little bit and you figure it out a little bit, but try to cut down on all the, the entertaining things, and don't give up. Don't give up. You're not alone. I'm for sure out there with you, supporting you, and I'm grateful that a lot of people were there for me when I needed it. And I still need it. We all need it. So, adios for now, and I'll post this on my main page for a little while, and then I will go ahead and I'll put it on my members only after a while. All right, adios for now.